Welcome to the Effects Loop. I'm Diaz.
And I'm Scott.
And we're keeping you on the loop with the guitar community. This episode is brought to you by frustration. Just in general. If you're frustrated, you're supporting the show. It's actually supported by Electromotive Sound Co. You can go to electromotivesound.com. You will not be frustrated with your tone when you get the Clone V3. That was pretty good. I like that.
Yeah, we can go with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna turn on my gain just a little bit more, but yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, look at that.
There we go.
Ooh.
Oh, snap.
Okay, now I'm too loud. All right.
Yeah, a little too loud. A little, yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on, we should do that. The SNL ladies who do the sweaty balls?
Oh, how they're making fun of NPR?
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, that was a little aggressive there, Scott. Just but this episode is also brought to you by listeners like you. Go to patreon.com/effectsloop if you want to be a supporter. Hi, Sarah Beth. Welcome to the episode. Whoops. Yeah. Let's just go on to what's new, because we've got a lot of stuff to talk about this week. So
yeah, I got nothing new. Let's move on. Actually, I played guitar for the first time in a while today, so that was actually, or not today, this weekend. So that felt great. It's been awesome. Like a month since I've really played guitar. Very nice.
I got the LT back.
Hey.
Well, or a different LT. That just actually landed today. I'm really excited about that.
Like, as in, you just updated it, and I don't think you've really got a chance to play with it yet.
I played a few things because now I have an expression pedal, so I went wah crazy. So, because I like the wah.
I mean, that's fun. I love that for you.
I also did some manual labor yesterday, and that was fun. Yeah, I moved a lot of sheetrock.
Yeah.
And then I had to fight to get paid my cash under the table money. So not physically fight. It wasn't like Fight Club, like, oh, only one person gets paid. But yeah, I mean.
Do you think you would do that again?
You think I would do that again?
Like that's a legitimate question for you. Would you do a cash construction deal like that again? No. Was it because of the work or because of them dicking you around with the payment?
A little bit of both. I wouldn't agree to something without knowing the full extent of what I was agreeing to.
Mm-hmm.
Which that's what happened. We're moving this much sheetrock. Okay, and then we get there and it's instead of like just one panel of sheetrock, everything was doubled. It was a double panel. That's the way it was. And then there was.
Wait, also, like you were picking up two panels of sheetrock at the same time?
Yes. We're having multiple people have to pick it up because it wasn't 8x4 sheetrock, which is the most common. Mm-hmm. It was 12x4. So the problem was it was hard moving it without the middle flexing too much. We didn't want to break the sheetrock.
Oh, so then you were moving two at a time?
We were moving two panels that were about 150 pounds. And it was one person on each end. We had, and then, because
it was 5/8, like two 5/8 panels? Or was it half inch?
Half inch.
Oh.
So, and then we had to move it into the house, which it was supposed to be a ground level house, but we had to go upstairs to get into the house.
Oof. So
it was not, if both ways to enter the house require stairs, I don't consider that ground level. So
yeah, what is it like in France? I think there's a ground floor and then there's a first floor.
Well, yeah, and there's a lot of hospitals are like that and stuff like that. It was definitely not. The job was not as described. The issue with getting paid made it a real pain in the butt. Like I said, I mean, I might do it again if the opportunity arises and it's a different scenario with different people. I will not do the same thing with the same people.
Yeah, that contractor like disappearing and not like Well, you having to threaten them to like, hey, if you don't pay us, we're gonna like mess stuff up.
Well, we weren't even going to mess stuff up. What we were going to do is the fact that they kept making a big deal about us covering up because we had a huge storm roll in last night, a lot of wind, a lot of rain, and there was still 3 pallets of sheetrock outside, and it was, oh, you'll get paid. Is everything covered? You'll get paid. Is everything covered? And so I finally told them, I'm like, everything's about to be uncovered if I don't get paid.
Man, weird that they suddenly moved once you did that.
Yeah, and they're, oh, you don't have to threaten. I'm like, I need to get paid, one or the other. So. And then I
mean, that guy, they left you alone. Like there wasn't even like a staffer with you.
But the problem, so the issue came out to be, so the contractor that ended up finally paying me actually reached out to the guy who reached out for other people. So pretty much the contractor reached out to this guy and was like, hey, can you help find some people and come to work? And then the main contractor, left us under the impression that the guy that we interacted with was the person paying us. That was a thing. And so because the contractor was like, oh, well, I thought we weren't paying you till the job was done. It's like, no, dude, we were asked to come out here for a day. We came out. Oh, well, I was told that you guys weren't getting paid till the job was done. I was like, well, I don't know who told you that. I was like, but you set us up for a job. You set us up for failure. We did as much as we could. We need to get paid.
Yeah.
So it was a whole big fight, but honestly, it's one of those things. I got my money and I'm done.
Well, that's good. I mean, you got the money and you can move on finally. It would really suck if you got stiffed.
Yeah. Anywho, let's talk about what's new. We got a lot.
You already asked me what's new, and I said no. And then you were like, I got the LT, and then you got that. So do you want to get into some news?
Yes. What's new in the gear world?
All right. Well, let's speed run here because you and I are doing a nasty habit now of I think we're going to be more like every other week more often. But so there's more to talk about this week, particularly. And first off is the Echo Fix unveils the EFP2, a top quality spring reverb for players serious about making a splash with real springs. Did you look at this thing yet?
Yeah.
Nuts. I am a sucker for analog gauges. Like that, It has a needle on the front that bounces when your signal level. I love that. I really love that. But it is your.
Yeah, how much is it?
Expensive.
Yeah.
Let me scroll here.
Oh no, it's 275 pounds.
I mean, that's $300 some dollars.
That's not horrible.
No,
I mean, for one of it's real springs in there, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not horrible. It
no,
looks
and
cool.
I mean, let's talk about what else has a spring in it these days. You have the Anna Sounds, you have the Game Changer, and all those are way up there in price too. Obviously, it's not a 12-inch spring tank like on an amp. Right, these are shorter springs, but it's a completely analog signal path. There's 2 foot switches, one for a bypass, and the other for a direct on and off. So you can use it as an outboard effect as well. Naturally, the questions of does it drip come up. I haven't seen Ryan Burke get his hands on one of them yet, but that could also just be me not being on YouTube. Looking forward to him looking at it because he's our spring reverb aficionado.
Yeah, of course he is. He does. I mean, that's his thing.
That is his thing through and through. So, looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, very nice. All right, next
up,
TC Electronics already has 3 more Ampwork preamp pedals ready.
I mean, how long ago did the first 3 come out?
Couple months, if that.
I don't even think it's been that long. I think it's been like a month and a half.
Well, that's why I said if that.
Yeah. So Go ahead, buddy. You got a list. Read them. What are they going to be?
You got the dual rec, the 550, and the Jims 800, which is a Marshall, a PV, and a Mesa Boogie. You got the JCM 800, 5150, and dual rec. I want the 5150. Like, so I don't know. I always love going for the Eddie Van Halen tone. It's a tone that I grew up with. I mean, the dual rec, but all three of these are like right up my alley. Dual rec kind of gets me that Dave Grohl thing going on, and then the Marshall. My favorite drive pedal is a blues breaker. I love a good Marshall tone. I love a like edge of breakup Marshall, almost still clean, which is most people don't like that, but that's a thing I like. This is phenomenal. Like, just good on TC Electronic for making such killer stuff.
So all coming in around 150, right? And they do the they have a DI on them, or the option to do a curated Celestian IR.
Yeah.
Headphone output, everything there. Let's talk quickly here. The Iridium came out how many years ago?
4 or so?
And kind of revitalized the pedal amp thing. Like, obviously we have the TC, or not TC Electronic, Tech 21 era.
Yeah,
of the Sans amp, right?
But that wasn't as mainstream.
They weren't as mainstream, and they did amp sim,
right?
But they didn't do IRs, which really, to me, I think is the differentiator here. You
mean cab sims?
Yeah, they did cab sims, but they didn't do the IR style of cab sim. Because you can argue it's a capture or whatever you want to do with the IR thing, but it's a much more, it captures much more of the EQ nuance and that kind of stuff.
It's close to the same thing, but just progressed.
Yeah, I mean, any EQ can be expressed with an IR.
Yeah.
So that's a rabbit hole. Let's not dive down too far here.
This is the high gain series.
This is and what's interesting is, so we had the ACS1, we had the Iridium, and everyone has been sitting there going, oh, when's the high gain one coming? Right. And TC Electronic drops it so fast after getting their other line out. It's actually really interesting to see that happen so fast.
If Tony DeGraw did not have the quad cortex, I could see him being all over these.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I've got my LT now, but I would still like this. Like, I don't know. I'm all for this. And I really think TC Electronics is just, in the price point, $150. That is amazing for people to go direct for a cheap, like an inexpensive.
And I genuinely think these are going to do better than their Vox Fender and Marshall ones, because they're entering an empty market, if that makes sense. Like, the Vox Fender one has already been made by multiple other people, so the market's already kind of saturated there.
Yeah.
I also wonder, does this mean suddenly we might trickle out that other Iridium that we've been begging for? So I'm curious to see how the market reacts to this, but this is cool, and I can see a lot of people loving these.
That's the thing. Like, I feel like the Iridium they could do a high gain Iridium, or
they kept saying a high gain one or a big box one that has everything in it.
That's honestly what I thought. I thought that they should come out with a big box one. Like imagine if that would totally destroy the Tonex, or not destroy it, but like that would be head to head with that.
I mean, the appeal of the Tonex is it's affordable, right?
Right.
But you get everything. It sounds good.
But that's kind of my issue with the Iridium, is the price on it. I mean, how much are the Iridiums? 400?
400, 450. The price might have gone up, and since my memory locked onto a price, right?
And you get 3 amps. And like,
but then UA came out with like single amp ones for that much.
Yeah, but
you're also watching them put them on sale so fast. So,
well, I mean, UA has that thing going for them where they do have brand recognition for high quality sound,
and so does Strymon, and so does Walrus. Whereas TC Electronic kind of struggles when the price goes up. Look at what happened with the plethora. We all went, ooh, right?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. The plethora for me was really the size.
They made a smaller one.
No, they should have had the same amount of switches on a smaller one. That's like with the Flashback X4. It's gigantic. It really is a gigantic pedal. Like the Flashback X4 has amazing delays in it. Amazing. I had it on my board at one point, and then I got a Timeline, and I was like I always thought the Timeline was bigger because my brain.
The Timeline is smaller than you think.
Right. That's the thing. Like, but in the Flashback X4, the large form factor TC Electronic pedals are bigger than you think sometimes. Like the Ditto X4, all the X4s.
I mean, the pedals of size thing. I think pedal boards are too packed for a lot of people these days. That like you can't get away with the bigger form factor, even when you shrink them. So like when the DL4 Mark II came out, we were all hyped about it, but it doesn't seem like that's really caught on.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's an interesting. I feel like that one hasn't caught on in the world that we live in. I could see it happening more in the. I mean, think of like the DL4. Like, whenever the DL4 was losing popularity in the praise and worship world and stuff like that, it was still huge in a lot. I mean, it was a. How many gigging musicians used it? Tons. Like that's the thing. I feel like I don't know. I feel like the tough part with the DL4 Mark II is the fact that you can get a stomp, or you can get an HX effects and get pretty much the same stuff.
I mean, you can. I mean, but you can get a DL4 Mark II for less than $250 now. So,
can you?
Yeah.
Nice. That's
anyway, we went on a tangent there talking about everything, but that's great.
Yeah. Yeah. Good job.
Yeah. Speaking of pedals that are way too big, Electro Harmonix has gone the complete opposite direction. So last episode, we talked about the Pico Pog. Now the platform has come out in the Pico size. So now they got a compressor in the mini size. 4 knobs on that small of a pedal. This is actually pretty cool.
Nice.
Price-wise, this is $139. Much more affordable, or fairly affordable. There's a lot of also theorizing of what's coming out after this. Particularly, are we going to see a Holy Grail in the Pico size? Ooh. Maybe a small stone, maybe a soul food,
a smaller stone.
Pico stone.
Pico stone.
Pico stone.
Oh my gosh! Can they do a Pico de Gallo?
You made that joke 2 weeks ago.
Did I really?
Yes.
I've slept since then. Anywho, so how much is this running for? What did you already say?
I also already said that, $139.
Okay, I'm sorry. I have work texting me. I'm trying to. But yeah. Anyways, this is. It's great. I don't
mini
mind
compressors
on this.
Particularly since a compressor's old pedal, a lot of people just leave on.
Yeah.
I've seen more compressors go in the mini format, especially when they're not like an optical and they don't have all the crazy stuff in them.
The blend knob is still a great thing to have on there.
Yeah, so you've got volume, sustain,
attack and blend,
and then there's a button. I can't read the button.
Type. You can change the type. What are the types? Where's the list? Give me a list. Oh, wait. Yeah, let's see. What types can you pick?
Hard knee and soft knee. So,
explain what they're trying to say.
The knee is when the compressor kicks in.
Okay.
It changes the ratio of things that are coming in and out, right?
Yeah.
So hard knee, soft knee is how that transition zone, is it abrupt or not? So some people might like slamming a compressor and hearing that boom thing. Some people might like it to transition. So.
All right. Sonic Cake releases new affordable guitar multi-effects pedal, the Matrobox 2 or Matrobox.
Matrobox.
Why does the picture just look like it's photoshopped?
You know why? Is because this pedal looks like a lot of other pedals you've seen before.
Yeah.
Like if I told you this was made by Newer or Donner or Hot Tone, you'd believe me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. This comes in at $229.99. So very affordable in the multi-effects world. You've got 63 amp models, 93 different pedal sims, 61 onboard cab simulations. You can have 15 impulse responses that you can custom upload. You can have up to 10 simultaneous tones. So that's more than a Stomp or a Pod Go. 99 presets to try out of the box from the factory, with 100 more for user. You've got headphone out, aux in, USB connectivity for recording. It also supports MIDI, and it has 100 drum rhythms and a 90-second looper. So all in all, on paper, it sounds like everything I need.
Yeah.
And it's got 3 buttons, a few different knobs. I'm wondering, is there a touchscreen on this? The layout looks like it should have the screen display has touchscreen-esque things, but it might not be. Also has a built-in expression pedal. Is that stereo out? More info, go to Sonic Cake.
I just like that there's 100 drum rhythms. What else can you ask for? 101? That's insane. The bright color screen could certainly help with that. It just says color screen, doesn't say touch screen. So I'd assume it's not a touch screen.
Oh, that's too bad.
All right, well that's cool. All right,
Major Box 2. Also has a desktop editor. Come on, Neural, get your act together and release it. I found a backside. So you have aux in. Oh, why is it blurry? Come on. Here we go. Zoom. Let me zoom in. Sonic Cake. I've collaborated with you in the past. I love your stuff. It has an effects loop, mono effects loop from the looks of it. It can do stereo out. And does cool. MIDI via the smaller 1/8" jack. Aux in. Also has an expression pedal in. So there you go.
Wonderful.
I talked too much about this pedal that no one's going to buy. All right.
Yeah. Anywho.
Speaking of pedals no one's going to buy except maybe me and Philip. Origin Effects has taken the Halcyon. I'm guessing that's how it was pronounced. If you remember, they had the Tube Screamer with the adaptive yada yada. They released the Halcyon Gold, which takes on a lot of the same feature set and form factor, but now it's gold, and it's a Centaur flavored version. And it's a 4-knob Centaur.
Yeah, it's got 2 switches.
Yeah, so there's some different. You can do the straight kind of clipping circuit, or you can do their adaptive clipping circuit. Which, if you remember, it's like the harder you play, it's like an envelope. Like the harder you play, it acts a little different. So it's not like the harder you play, you get the same EQ curve, or you're hitting the same clipping circuit. This has a little bit different. So I haven't had a chance to actually play with it, so it's on my to-do list. Yeah. I just didn't want to buy a new one and play with it.
How much are they now?
They're not cheap. These are 250 pounds, which I don't know what that turns into in US dollars.
275, 300.
Yeah.
It's getting expensive for a drive pedal.
It does, but people pay that much for a KTR.
Yeah. This thing better drive me to the store and back.
Oh, you're funny. It's also, I think it's the cheapest pedal Origin makes.
I believe it.
Yeah. So I want to try one. I'm interested. Obviously, I like Klon circuits. I'm curious what the adaptive does to the feel of it.
Yeah.
I also believe it's buffered bypass, so it's true to,
Oh, there's something that's not on here. I don't know if you added it. It got announced today?
Oh, yeah. We have not talked about that yet, but go ahead.
I added it. It's on there. All right, we'll go. We'll do that last.
Okay.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Earthquaker Devices presents room hall and plate reverbs in the Ledges tri-dimensional reverberation machine. I don't know if they've done a reverb pedal, like a normal reverb pedal. Am I wrong?
I don't know.
At $199, fairly affordable. It has 6 presets in it.
Well, they had the Ghost Echo at one point.
Yeah, but was that more of a weird echo?
No, not really. I mean, I used it for traditional echo sound.
Pre-traditional, okay.
Yeah.
I feel like Earthquaker has been pushing the more traditional pedals lately. Am I off in that kind of read?
No, I think that it's a good plan for them because they've been in that weird thing, like the multi-dimensional the multi-dimensional reverbs and stuff like that, where we're getting like crazy with the slow. And what was the other one? I mean, honestly, Earthquaker was kind of like, I think I mentioned it either the last episode or a little bit, was kind of reminding me of the whole what's the company that we always talk about with the sliders?
Old Blood Noise Endeavors.
Old Blood, which we know the history there, but like,
I think you're confusing Walrus and Earthquaker in your brain right now.
Damn it, I am. No,
because the slow is Walrus. Earthquaker is like the Disbass Master, and like the Rainbow Machine, and like they've done weird stuff, right? I know them for the weird stuff, and then like the Plumes took off.
Yeah, okay, but the Ghost Echo was Earthquaker, so
okay,
that is correct. Everything else was totally fucking wrong. I know Philip's probably over there like pulled all of his hair out. If he had a fedora, he would have thrown it.
Who I don't know if Philip's the big Walrus guy though. Is he?
No, just the fact that
like Kyle McIntyre is probably mad at you.
No, just the fact that I said
things that are wrong.
Yeah.
Philip, feel free to post your list of corrections in the group.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get a lot of them. All right, so this is the thing. This got announced today, so we recorded a day late. Thank you, panic attacks and anxiety issues for pushing
just computer problems and everything. Like
everything. Yeah, we tried to record yesterday. We got the pre-up done yesterday, but it was just the world was against us.
Yeah.
But yeah, so today announced JHS Pedals is resurrecting the Ross Electronics brand, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it was great the way they did it too, because I mean, Josh Scott, historian of the guitar pedal, they released a whole long video of the history of Ross Electronics and talking about how there's a Kansas City history there, and so by JHS now being a Kansas City company, it's kind of a fun collaboration of them rehashing this brand in memory of the owner who has since passed. They're keeping the brand name, they're keeping the old box look, they're just bringing back old circuits.
Yeah, and they're this brand was an industry standard for a long time. Yeah, everything's tune-knob. It's simple. This was, and that's one of the things they talked about in the movies, or not the movie, the release, which seemed like a movie.
I mean, they actually called it a documentary.
Yeah.
But so you got the Ross compressor, which is a classic, and probably their most famous, or the Ross distortion maybe, but you have the Ross chorus, distortion, fuzz, and phaser. And you know what? I'm just gonna put this out there. Phaser is orange, chorus is blue. That fits my colors. So there you go. What else do we want to say on this? What are the prices?
About $189.
That's reasonable.
Yeah, $189 for for each one.
It's quite reasonable.
And the best thing is, this is a smart move. They're all the same box.
Yeah, you just paint them different colors.
Paint them different colors, put in different guts. That's it.
Screen printed labels. So pretty cool. And it's a good enclosure. It's a robust enclosure.
Oh yeah, I had the black distortion. Phenomenal. So, anywho, we're gonna keep moving on. Now we're getting into the guitar list.
Yes, we are.
Oh my gosh, Leo Fender's lost guitar design, the GNL Espada, which has been reborn with one significant tonal twist, and it looks ugly.
It's a single cut with a little more curve.
Yeah, I don't like how long the metal
the control plate, because now it follows basically the entire bottom curve. It's definitely not a Telecaster. Like, you look at it and you're like, it has ceased to be a Telecaster. It's a single cut. If Reverend made this shape, I'd believe it. So they come with a humbucker version, and I believe a single coil version, right? Oh, no. The other one's a humbucker as well. It just doesn't look like it. It's a Zebra.
A Zebra.
Yeah. So there's a covered one and a Zebra, and I believe one of them is active.
So I kind of dig the black one. That one works a lot better. I don't like the burst one.
The black works with the big control plate really well.
It does. I definitely dig that one.
Yeah.
That one looks good.
Yeah. So these are coming in at around $2,100 and $2,200 respectively for the regular and then the active. So they're, American made prices for they have a GNL saddle lock bridge instead of a more traditional or a Telecaster style bridge, right?
Yeah.
Block inlays, rosewood fingerboard.
I dig the block inlays.
Block inlays are good.
If honestly, if the white one, I don't know what color they're actually calling it, but or the cream colored, I don't know.
The vintage white.
Vintage white. Okay. I definitely, if that pickguard was more traditional and the plate didn't go out so far, I would dig that as well.
I think some playing with the pickguard colors on this could really make this model work.
Yeah.
Like a torque guard on those bursts.
Yeah.
You could talk me into it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just not digging the burst in general, I guess. All right, let's move on to the next thing, though. Fender Custom Shop California Streetwoods Collection. We're from the streets. It's sourced from Street Tree Revival.
Yeah, so is this the calendar guitars, basically?
I don't know what the calendar guitars are.
You know how, like, the Custom Shop makes a calendar every year? So there's 12 guitars, and they make a calendar out of all of them?
I didn't know that.
But I've had that calendar multiple times. I feel like we talked about that on the show, but
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I mean,
so these are kind of the grand models made by the master builders. So let's just run down. There's a Cabernita Elm Top made by Dave Brown. This is probably the most acceptable one. I actually kind of like it.
I dig it. I don't know, man. I people are gonna hate this next one.
The Cedar Telecaster NOS, where
I dig it.
It looks like a coffee table turned into a Telecaster.
I still dig it. I like it because I love the pick guard. I like it.
So a lot of these are just plain woods. So next you got the Ficus Stratocaster, which is a single humbucker Strat. I
don't hate these, man. I really like these.
These are actually more tasteful than you think. Yeah.
Shalsugi Band Redwood.
Yeah.
Esquire. Oh, that's cool. You know what that reminds me of?
It's very 70s-esque.
You know the guitars that were like a bunch of skateboards stacked up?
Oh yeah, I haven't seen that guy in a while.
Yeah, but they kind of had the like purple and green hue to it. That's what this reminds me of. This one's classy. That one, I think that's my favorite.
There's a Himalayan cedar P-Bass Journeyman.
Very cool. Yeah. I love the dark knot in the wood right there at the bottom horn.
A disappointingly named Shamel Ash Telecaster. Could have been a Sam Ash.
Yeah. This one's more traditional than any of them. The neck, I don't know what's up with the neck. What is that?
Can't tell you.
I'm trying to read really quick.
It's very dark.
It doesn't even say what it is. Okay.
It could be maple that they just really roasted.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah.
They also use the ash to make a green tea Strat. I don't really care for that Strat that much. There's a book match Telecaster, where book matching is where they cut the grain in half and then fold it out, right?
Yeah.
And then there's the blonde rosewood Telecaster thin line, which has a nice little sap line through the middle of it. Gorgeous.
That one actually, I don't know. That one actually looks like one of those guitars you'd see on Facebook for $150 that was made by a local guitar guy who builds guitars.
Yeah. There's a quilted maple Telecaster, which you've seen quilted maple before. There's a roasted ash and elm precision bass. There's a redwood Telecaster.
That roasted ash and elm precision bass should have been fretless.
I agree.
Yeah. All right. Redwood Telecaster. That's
redwood
cool.
Telecaster, and then the silver maple Telecaster, which looks like when they did the Japanese photo flame.
Yeah.
Kind of looks like that. These are all $10,000 to $12,000 guitars. So
yeah, go grab a couple.
Good luck.
Have fun.
Good luck getting one. They're probably all sold. Diaz, do you want to take a stab at butchering this next artist's name?
Wait, hold on. Next artist? Which one? Oh, wait, hold on. I'm on the wrong thing.
The Fender signature model.
Juanes?
Could be.
I sold everything I had to buy my first Fender. Today we have a Juanes Stratocaster. Juanes. So Juanes sounds right.
I kept, you know how like your brain missees words?
Yeah.
I kept thinking Juarez because I saw an R instead of an N.
I'm going to look it up. Hold
on. So it's an HSS Strat.
Juanes. I was right.
All right. He's a Colombian guitar player. Mm-hmm. Don't know him terribly well. But that's, me being in my bubble.
HSS Strat.
Yeah. HSS Strat, maple fingerboard. Has this kind of silver finish with a white pickguard. Compound radius 10 to 14 inches with a deep C profile neck.
It's got a 2-point tremolo, but with the older style saddles.
Deluxe tuners, medium jumbo frets. If I recall correctly, it has the mid boost circuit.
Okay.
So you got that, basically a little bit of also has S1 switching. Can be tweaked via the second tone knob, which serves as a boost control. One master tone pot, 5-way blade selector.
How much? How much is it? Like $2,000?
$2,300.
Yeah. I sold everything I had to get my first Fender, to buy my first Fender. Now you can do the same.
Yeah, not a cheap option necessarily, but doable.
Yeah. All right. Well,
but on the other end of the price spectrum, you got Sharegold.
Sharegold has a new guitar series called the Telstar, and we're surprised at the price. This is a really cool T style, but it also has the Firebird hump down the middle. So it looks like it's a 3-part put together. I don't know if it actually is or not, like the Firebirds are. These are going in for around $400.
Very affordable. I like them. I really like this look.
I love the no. Don't give me that. What is that? Is that like a Daphne blue?
Daphne blue, and there's a gold, like a champagne gold.
Yeah.
I think it looks really good with the raised center block.
Mm-hmm.
I like that they did the upper horn pickup switcher too, because then it just kind of brings that Gibson-y look to it. And then it's got Filtertron style.
Was that a door opening at your place?
That was a door opening at my place.
Thank heavens, because I was getting scared because I heard it so clearly. I looked and my door didn't open. I was like, oh, this is. I saw this at the beginning of a movie, and it was not good. But no, the raised center block. It's a pulling from so many different styles,
but it's doing it well.
Tasteful. I need to look at the headstock.
It's got a slight offset to the carve if you look at it.
Yeah, so the top horn does protrude a little bit farther than normal and has that kind of Firebird feel up there. So, I might put this on Christmas list. Yeah,
I think that's a legitimate.
That covers a lot of areas I don't have right now. I mean, I've got a Telecaster body sitting around, but I don't have sort of like the Gretsch pickup style. I don't.
Yeah, you don't really have anything with Filtertrons in it right now.
I honestly haven't had anything with Filtertrons in it for a long time.
Yeah, and it gets into that Harley Benton pricing range too. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool. I don't know. I need to. Yeah, the girlfriend's been asking me what I want for my birthday and Christmas, and I need to figure. I might get a Harley Benton. Just how I want a Harley Benton.
You know who I could really see going after this is people who were sitting on the Veritas. But Veritas is too expensive or a long wait list. But like that praise and worship guitar player.
Oh, for sure.
This kind of scratches that itch at like Squire pricing.
Yeah, I wonder if it's on Amazon. Because I mean, a lot of this
probably not
cheaper brand. It's a UK brand, so share gold. Let's see.
But and the last on the guitars for this session, one I think I'm most excited about for some reason.
Yeah.
So Gibson has teamed up with Miranda Lambert to create a signature Bluebird, which is a hummingbird all in blue.
But you want to know what? Just don't take a selfie with it.
Especially while she's playing. Yeah.
I know, that's right.
So I'm just happy to see this on so many levels, because I think we were talking a while ago about how Gibson needs more signature female artists. Fender made a big push on it, and it I'm glad to see it there, but like Gibson hasn't really, and Gibson's kind of locked in this tradition side of it. And simultaneously, Miranda Lambert is a great artist that fits the brand in the ethos of like historical models and keeping tradition alive. And then two, this model is signature-ish enough, while not like I wouldn't think this butchers the history of the hummingbird, right? Actually, like it's a nice color scheme, feature set. It's got a historic bridge on it. You know, all those kind of things really play well to it. So,
very nice. I'm trying to figure out
how much is it. I mean, it's more expensive than a normal hummingbird at $46.50, but it looks really good too. Like usually blue guitars don't look that good. This one, blue acoustic guitars, but this one looks great.
Acoustic guitars with and non-traditional colors are really a tough thing sometimes.
Yeah, black tends to go okay, and sunburst, and that's about it.
Yep, and then wood.
Yeah, just natural or aged lacquer.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of aged, Friedman and Jake E. Lee roll out the red Tolex for a fire-breathing new signature amp that balances 70s plexi tones with 80s aggression and a little more scream. I don't like. Is Jake E. Lee still kind of relevant?
Remember how last time I asked, I don't even know who Jake E. Lee is, and you were like, "Oh yeah, you don't know this," and then you turned on the Southern accent a little harder and started talking about him.
Why the Southern accent? He played for Ozzy.
I don't know. But you did.
Oh, okay. Anywho, like he's just not relevant is my thing. I guess Friedman's clientele is really in that era though.
So the 20 watt Marshall is a hot topic right now. Like, you're seeing a bunch of people kind of try to fill up that market. Yeah. And frankly, Friedman makes Marshalls.
Right.
So there you go. If you need a 20 watt 70s plexi, there you go.
And how much is this one? $3,000 maybe. Oh no. Oh wait, the speaker is 1,700 or 700, and the amp is 1,700. So 2,400.
Not that bad.
No, it's really not horrible for a signature, Friedman amp. Yeah, honestly, but if I'm getting a Friedman, I'm getting the Allison Chains, Jerry Cantrell. Thank you. So let's see. All right, Sun Amps reveals first new post-resurrection product page. Who resurrected them again? I forgot.
Wasn't Quilter, was it? No.
It was.
We talked about this last week.
Oh, Fender and Mission Engineering.
Mission Engineering is reviving it because Fender still owns the rights.
Yeah, I've never played a Sun amp that I've absolutely loved, so I really don't have an opinion on this.
Yeah, I mean, they still don't have the beta lead out, right? So.
Well, isn't that what's there's in this picture here?
There's a beta lead in that picture, but it's actually supposed to be featuring the 100S.
Oh.
So, ultra linear tube heads, so they're going to be super, super, super clean and loud.
But it still talks about the beta lead and beta bass amps are priced $799, and the preamp versions are $699.
Oh, so they did do a beta?
Yeah.
This is what happens when we don't read things before we start talking about them.
Well, that would make it more boring. Just to be honest with you.
If you expect that of this show at this point and not of Diaz, like, come on.
Fuck y'all being prepared. No. Yeah. All right.
Well, actually, speaking of being prepared and being embarrassed by it, Kemper has finally launched the liquid profiling update. And my Kemper has literally been sitting on the floor next to my computer for 2 weeks now. And I've yet to update it.
I want you to update it because I want to see. I want you to like kind of A/B a liquid profile versus the normal profile.
They're going to sound identical.
Okay.
So what liquid profiling does is it adds a simulated EQ to the capture that's already taken.
Okay.
And so the old Kemper EQ was like a post EQ, like a studio EQ. This one is supposed to simulate the
an actual amp EQ.
If you actually adjusted the amp EQ. So what you effectively do is you're like, hey, this is a Fender profile. Apply a Fender EQ curve to it.
Okay, so
and that gives you the knobs. And if you load a Vox, now instead of having the bass, middle, treble presence, now you have a cut knob and a tone knob.
So now that you've explained it to me like that,
yeah.
Here's my question. Mm-hmm. Well, so I'm guessing the big deal is because it's a profile, right? Doing that. So quad cortex, if you EQ an amp in there, is it the post like studio EQ, or is it kind of the same thing? Is this totally brand new?
What, the liquid profile thing?
Kind of just the fact of being able of changing it to EQing, like being able to like digitally EQ the amp instead of like a post. Like, so if you were to change the amp EQ in the quad cortex, are you just doing pretty much what Kemper was doing beforehand, just doing the post kind of studio?
Yes, okay. That's the way the quad cortex one and the Tone X one works.
Okay.
I believe
like with my LT, it's a modeler though, so it's not a capture. The doing it with a capture is the new thing.
Correct. The only thing would be like if you threw an EQ on an IR.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if there's an EQ control on your IR loader, but like if there was one there, that's effectively what's happening. Right?
Okay.
Now Kemper always had that gain knob control where you could kind of back down the gain on the thing.
Yeah.
Quad Cortex does it too. There's allegedly this kind of thing. There was like a dispute with Axifex if there was a patent thing.
I saw that.
I haven't seen anything since, but
I'm sure that there was a C&D or a kind of shut your mouth thing go on. So.
But here we are. It's still running.
So this is. I want to hear what I would like you to mess with it and be able to tell me what you think. The question is it as amazing and worthwhile as is kind of going on? So people are saying.
I think what's going to happen is I think a lot of people have used the Kemper and went, the EQ doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
Right? And the reality is a Kemper has always been dial in the amp perfect and preserve that snapshot, right?
Right.
In time. And then like if you need to clean it up in post for like, and guitar players don't like that, but recording people do.
Right? I think the problem is people think you're profiling the entire amp.
Yeah.
When you're actually, like you said, saving a snapshot of the sound that you really, really like.
Yeah, and then like if you buy an amp pack from somebody like Tone Junkies or something like that, you're getting 30 profiles, and you're like, this is overwhelming, right?
Right.
So hypothetically, this might actually let the profiler act more like a modeler.
Right. Okay.
So I think it might be a little more user accessible than it used to be. But at this time, the Kemper's getting a little long in the tooth. You're seeing the values of them drop. I think it's getting out of favor, despite the Kemper being fantastic. It still sounds amazing.
The problem is it's the old thing, and there's new toys,
and they're more portable and easier to use, and touch screens, and the menu. You get option paralysis with the Kemper. The learning curve's really high. I think the Quad Cortex has a much lower learning curve, and like the Tone X is dead simple because it's just the amp. Right. There's compression and reverb, but like it's really just the amp, right? So it's a little more accessible, whereas like the Kemper can be your whole rig.
See, but I think the thing with the Kemper is I think, you know, when we're looking at guitar players who play live a lot. I think the Kemper is still probably like the studio of like use of it, and the touring use for people who use racks.
If really you're a touring guitar player who doesn't own a Kemper, I think you're a fool. Like if you're touring with amps and you don't have a Kemper in the back that just has profiled your touring amp rig.
Yeah.
Like what are you doing? Just have one of these in a rack as your backup instead of like 4 extra amp heads. But I also like, because you go to those places where like I think it was Pete Wentz was touring with like 4 Ampeg, like 8x10s or whatever, and then he just had a Sans amp.
Yeah.
You know, and that the Sans amps which were in the front of house.
Right.
Yeah,
and then that's, I mean, a lot of people do that too. They have something to run front of house and run the main speakers, and then they have something for some stage volume.
Yeah. And
the good thing about that is because you don't have to blast that amp, or you don't have to worry about miking, all that stuff. I mean, sure, they're going to put a mic in front of it, but it's probably not going to doing anything.
And I mean, you can put it on the ground behind the cab so no one sees it. No one calls you out for not using amps. But like, if you don't have one of these in the truck with your profiles of your rig, I think this is the most obvious quick fix for any touring guitar player.
Oh, 100%. So, all right, let's move on because I'm tired of talking.
Especially since you can get one for like $1,100 now.
Yeah, and the best part is because there's no sign of a Kemper 2, and that's one of those things too. When you see the price start to drop on something and it gets old, you get really worried that like, oh, I'm going to buy this, and then the new thing's going to come out.
The Kemper's like 10 plus years old now.
Oh yeah, definitely double digits and everything. All right, so Boss has an acoustic guitar amp.
Yay!
It's
a katana. It's not a katana, but it's a katana.
It's got onboard drums and stuff.
Yeah.
Rhythm box. And a looper. Oh, air feel. I want it to feel dry. It's actually
it can run on batteries even though there's not a battery built into it.
Well, the good thing, and there's a mic input.
Like, which is good for acoustic guitar players. Yeah, buskers.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, heck, I'm going to get one of these and go sit on the street.
I mean, the katanas had a acoustic in.
Yeah, but this has the mic. This is the full package. That's pretty cool. So this is going to be running about $400.
probably going to be light as all can be too.
I would assume so. Yeah,
pretty small.
I dig it. Like, I think it's definitely not something that should be like looked down upon in any way.
No, it's got the whole Boss multi-effects thing built into it too, right?
I don't know. I know there's reverb.
It's 10 watts stereo, 5 watts by 2.
There's a reverb and delay.
The speakers are only 5-inch twin cone speakers, which means they have a high frequency driver in them. That's what twin cone means. Rhythm box with 15 different patterns. We talked about.
This is only a foot wide and 8 inches deep.
Yeah, it's small. Can be run on 8 AA batteries.
Oh, $400 for something that small. It better sound really good.
Well, I think this is more closer to like the bias, the positive grid bias that amp, right? Like it's more like that size.
Okay, yeah. Oh no.
I'm trying to find the weight because it's got to be super little, like light little thing, right?
Yeah.
It can do Bluetooth audio and MIDI.
Oh, MIDI?
It's got a little module around the back thing for Bluetooth.
That's cool.
Foot switch for the rhythm box and looper.
You could just use this as a Bluetooth speaker too if you wanted.
Yeah, it's got an aux in on the back of it.
Yeah. It's USB connectivity, so I'm sure you can go in and use some sort of editor.
Yeah.
If needed or something. I don't know. Maybe that's how they do.
It's 8 pounds and 14 ounces, so just under 9 pounds.
Oh, that is pretty light.
Light, man. I mean, it's 10.5 inches tall, 8.5 inches wide.
Like, this is literally something you used to be like, hey, toss me that.
You could almost toss it. Yeah.
No, not almost. You could toss this.
Wireless MIDI if you want.
Oh, so it probably uses
it can do the wireless MIDI expression pedal or a wireless foot switch.
Yeah.
Or you can do the wired one too, but
you can tweak settings remotely.
Yeah.
There's an iOS app for it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's cool.
Can do nickel metal hydride AA's, so you can do rechargeable AA's in it.
How many AA's does it take?
8.
Oh. But it does have, yeah, I mean, you still got normal power.
It has an AC adapter for 9 volts.
Yeah.
400 milliamp power draw, so technically you could run it off most pedal board power supplies.
That's not a horrible idea.
Yeah, if you got like your looper pedal and like,
you could just put it on your board.
Yeah,
you could just you could lay it flat.
You could just have a little whip that's coming off your pedal board, and you just feed it to that. Also has phantom power for the mic.
Right, this thing's pretty dang cool. When you start kind of digging into it, like it just has to sound good.
You know how I can see buying this? This is gonna sound really weird. I think my therapist wants this.
Yeah,
he's a big acoustic folk guy. Yeah,
it's not this. Yeah, that's crazy.
You know what's also crazy?
It's the end of the episode.
It's the end of the episode, and we're almost at an hour.
Thank you guys for dealing with us.
I really hope this echo that I'm hearing in my ears is not on the recording. So
I don't hear an echo.
Oh, thank God.
So you never asked me that. I would have told you that from the beginning. It would have been a less stressful episode.
If I wanted your help,
you would have asked for it. No, you wouldn't have.
You know me so well.
Anywho, all right, guys. Thanks to Electromotive Sound Co. for sponsoring this episode. Thank you to our patrons who support our show. Also, go check out theeffectsloop.com. It has links to everything. You can find links to the products in the show notes and links to all the stuff in the show notes, right?
Yeah, I still do that.
Okay, I'm just making sure. I don't actually check. So he's like, I haven't done that in 2 years.
Hey, Diaz, scroll all the way to the bottom of our script.
Okay. But this is old stuff.
Yeah, that's last week's episode notes, but also look what the bottom is.
Hot dogs are sandwich.
That has been on every episode for 6 months.
That's phenomenal. The slow roll prank. All right, guys. Well, everyone, hope you have a good week. We kind of discussed and possibly move into every other week, but I think we'll see what happens.
I think the news is better when we do it.
Yeah. So, all right, guys, my dog is saying it's time to go. So, adios.
Bye.
Strong. We have to just keep pushing along. We are one. So let's come together, show 'em some love. There are many things that this world needs, but the most important one is unity. United we stand, divided we fall. Through the ages this has been the same old song. Yeah. We are strong. We have to just keep pushing along. We are one. So let's come together, show some love. This song is not about race or politics, but the hate that resides in the hearts of men. Desperate times calling desperate measures. So why don't we be different to love each other?
Let's erase hate from the dictionary. Why is negativity always drawn out? Pictionary, visualize love, energize lives together. We undefeated. A plan to make where there's no gloves needed. When we weed into the mindset of achieving and believing in community that remains happy. Ever after, the world should be one. Hate annihilated, every heart is one. Love again. So
Don't buy the hate, don't separate. We're strong.